Hey everybody, welcome to another Meet the Coach of the Coaching Tools Company. My name is Erwin de Graaf and I'm here together with the Director of Coaching, Dr. Steve Jeffs. And today we have the pleasure to talk to Valerie Priester. Hello Valerie, how you doing?
I am amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and welcome Steve, of course, as well.
Of course,
Yeah,
thank you.
of course. So Valerie, we could try to introduce yourself, but you know yourself much better than we do. So who is Valerie? How did she came in coaching and what does she do specifically in coaching?
Absolutely. So I'm Valerie Priester. I am a mindset and strategy catalyst. So I work with women entrepreneurs who are high level, high achieving women entrepreneurs who've created some success in their business, but they find themselves stuck in either self doubt, uh, procrastination, all those things, right? Fear, because often when we're going for the next level of success, sometimes we get in that space where we don't feel like we can really do it. And so I work with those type women, helping them to really get a hold of that inner self-doubt and then create some confident, bold strategies to help them move forward. Aligned strategies. Let me not miss that piece.
So
Because they're, go ahead,
what do you mean aligned? Go with your fun. What
aligned.
do you mean?
So, one of the things that I've learned in my 17 years of being in the coaching industry is that there are many different ways for us to market and promote and show up. But what's been most effective for me, and the same as what I teach my clients, is that it must align with who you are. It must align with you authentically. Otherwise, it becomes a chore. And when something becomes a chore, what do? We put it aside and we don't do it. We procrastinate, we give all kind of excuses for it. But when it's aligned and it really is you and you're showing up, it's easy. And so I want to make sure that your strategies are aligned.
Mhm.
Love it. Love it.
And how
And
did you get in coaching?
So I started coaching at the prompting of five beautiful women that work with me in the corporate arena. And I'll tell you exactly what they said to me. They asked me one day, "How is it that you keep your mannerisms, your way about you, like you're always so positive, no matter what?" Right? And they had seen me go through some things in life, losing loved ones, all of those things, but I always have that same mindset or way of being. And so they wanted to know, like, how do you stay in that space? And I'll say this, they used to call me the flowers and berries lady because it just seemed like nothing ever shook me, no matter what was going on. And so I started working with these five women in different areas that they wanted to improve in their lives. Like one wanted to start a business, one wanted to be more involved in her church ministry, one was having trouble marriage. So helping them to navigate and work through those things, I watched their lives just totally change. And it was their suggestion, you should look into coaching. And I didn't know what coaching was. I thought we were talking about like the coach with the hat and the whistle, the athletic coach, right? It's like I don't do that. And I decided, you know what? I'm gonna give it a try. And so I started my research and I wanted something that aligned with my values, my beliefs, my morals. And I started as a Christian life coach. I started this journey 17 years ago.
And a happy
And
journey, I see.
oh, it's been an amazing journey. It really has. Some areas where I was kicking and screaming, and that was moving from more life coaching into business coaching because I hired my first business coach. I'm a firm believer in coaching, right? One of the things I tell every coach is like, if you are a coach and you don't have a coach, there's a problem. There's a problem, right? I believe it's like being a product of your product, right? So I believe in having a coach, and I hired my first business coach, and we, went down the whole gamut of who's your ideal client, who do you want to work with, and she asked me who was coming to me, and she said it, I told her it was women that wanted to either start their coaching business or needed help with scaling their business or, help with what do I charge, all of those things. How do I put together a coaching program? And she said, so maybe that's who you should work with. And I was like, no, no, because I didn't want to be a business coach. I did not want to be a business coach. And I came kicking and screaming into this arena. But she said to me, couple of words like, so are you saying you don't want to help them? And that pinched my heart because when I came out of my coaching, my first coaching certification, my thoughts were I wanted to coach anyone. Like I felt like I could coach anyone. I could coach you out of a brown paper bag because to me, it's about helping, right? And so I wanted to help as many people as I could. And it didn't matter who they were, how they come, what they wanted. I wanted to help everyone. So when she said, to me that, are you saying you don't want to help them? I was like, oh no, of course I want to help them. And so we figured out, how I could combine the two and move more into helping them with their business since that's what they wanted.
So it
And I
sounds like you are able to reframe what it means to have niche or focus.
correct.
What
Correct.
shifted for you?
I think what shifted for me is first understanding that yes, a niche is very important because I do feel like in order to grow a business, in order to market and promote, you need that. You need the targeted, way of talking and speaking to people. But I think what cracked it for me was that I began to understand that I was trying to place myself in just a box where, oh no, I can only do this, right? And of course we can do many things. And what helped me to just kind of realize that I'm still helping, I'm just helping in a different way. And of course I could still help them with life because here's what I believe. Business and life go hand in hand,
Mhm. And I
right?
think you mentioned something really important, is that focusing on a niche, that doesn't mean that other people can come and ask you about life coaching in your case, but you still can do it. It's just that how do you position yourself because it makes it much easier to go.
Absolutely. 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 And when I accepted that, I think that's what kept me from like feeling so much resistance around it. It's like I can still work with other people. Absolutely.
And are you still working in that field or have you been moving in another
So
direction?
So of course, every business has iterations, right? And mine has gone through several. After years of coaching women in business and coaching other coaches and helping them grow and scale their business, one of the things that I realized that really lights me up is when we talk about mindset, when we talk about, your beliefs and your ability to really believe in yourself, your confidence, all of those things really light me up. And so over the years, I've combined the two. And actually I realized that even when I was doing the coaching for just business, every start of every program dealt with what are your beliefs? What do you believe is possible for you? And then when I went back to start to reflect on what I've been doing and assess everything, I realized mindset has always been a part of it. It's always been a part. Even when I worked with the five women when I was in corporate, we talked a lot about what do you believe? What do you want? And so I realized that's the thing that lights me up the most. So I've now shifted and moved more into the mindset piece, but I combine mindset and strategy.
Mhm. So you
Love
stay in the business world, but you combine those two. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm appreciating about what you've shared with us so far is that we often know what to do before we know that we know what to do.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
good.
that's deep.
And
Did I say that? That's good.
that's what I heard.
That's what you heard. I love
And
it.
and to put some context for the audience that are like, wait, what? It was like, you keep referring back to the first five women. It's like before you had any idea what was going on, you were doing things that were adding value, that were aligned, and there was alignment, emergent alignment before it was conscious. And I think this is a really powerful realization for a lot of us as coaches, is that you already know what's going on. It's your brain that's got to catch up, and it's the brain catching up that causes a lot of the friction. And the story never makes sense until you get to the end and you look back, and you can see the
Hmm.
connection. And there's this element, especially for those that are starting out, or either at the beginning of the beginning, or starting out on a new phase, a new venture, a new evolution, or whatever it is, that there's that element of trust.
Yes.
Trust
Yeah.
in the feeling, trust in the intangibles, and give yourself permission with support around you. I think it's a great advice, whether it's a mentor, a coach, other colleagues, but to have this support such that you can lean into that trust of
Yes.
self and
Yes.
discover and then learn more about what's working and what lights you up. I really, really appreciate the energy around that.
Yeah.
You know, if
Yeah.
we're looking to inspire and light up the people that we're working with, well, we should probably not be falling asleep as we do
Right.
it.
I absolutely love how you explain that. That really touched me because it is about um, understanding that we know more than we think we know. Like I've always been that person. I can remember being a little girl and my friends would come and say, "What do you think about this?" Right? We 9 times out of 10, we've always been that person that wants to help others and that offers help in some way or another. And it is about trusting ourselves enough, right? That's a big part of what I teach when we talk about mindset. It's trusting yourself enough to know that at your core, you know what to do. You just may not know the steps to take, but you know
That's
what.
and that's where that alignment, that authenticity comes in.
Yes.
That yeah, as a coach, we can kind of see some things and we can push. And I love the challenge that your business coach brought to you. In fact,
Yes.
it's one of my favorite skills to work on with my coaches is the essence of have an edge, uh, uh, have some muscle, be willing to kind of bring that challenging energy. A great coach isn't just like floppy. A
Right.
great coach is accommodating and willing to push when needed. And I think that's a great place. So you don't want to help those people. Whoa, that's not what I said. Well, tell me.
Right.
And that edge can
That
actually push
challenge.
past a lot of the resistance that we create in ourselves. I think that's really cool.
That is, it really is. It really. So I love what I do. I absolutely. My husband often says, "Well, how long are you going to be doing this?" And I'm like, I don't know.
Until I
Probably
die.
until I close my eyes, right? Probably until I close my eyes. It doesn't feel like work. It always feels like I'm serving and I'm helping. And I love that.
I
So I
love it.
want to ask you a question around this because many coaches sometimes have that challenge. Say, I want to serve, but then asking for money and to be that really business kind of side is for many a challenge. So how have you been doing this?
Yes. And it was a challenge for me as well until I received coaching around it, right? It all goes back to believing in our worth, believing in our value, right? And sometimes some of our beliefs get in the way, right? So when we talk about our faith and religion and those things that sometimes play a role in how we are operating or starting or running our businesses, sometimes that gets in the way. And so I've ran across, times when I've worked with clients who have strong beliefs or strong religions, and they believe that it's not right to charge for the service that they give, right? So we kind of have to break down those barriers. So for me, I had to do the same work. I really did. I mean, I started out, in the beginning thinking that, oh, well, I'm new, so I shouldn't charge that much. I actually just wrote a post about this the other
I
day,
saw
and
that.
it's like, I remember charging $25 an hour, right? And because my reasoning was, well, I'm new, right? And I don't really know what I'm doing yet. That was in my mind. Of course, I knew what I was doing. And being new has nothing to do with it because, as I said, I've been doing this all my life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's
And what
acknowledging,
what do you know now? What are your insights around either the business transaction or increasing rates as a coach?
mhm. What I know now is that it's not about just the amount that you're charging, and it's not about, the fee so much as it is about the transformation. So if you match the transformation and the value that you bring to what you're charging, right? It kind of helps.
Tell us more about that. Like that makes sense, but it also doesn't.
Okay. So so when I was charging $25 an hour, my internal belief was I couldn't charge more
Uh-huh.
because I didn't recognize my own value. I didn't recognize the transformation that I was bringing to help my clients. And so it wasn't until I was able to tap into really seeing, and that comes from the testimonials and what my clients are saying, but I had to believe it.
So let me play with this for a second. So,
Sure.
because of course, there's at least two perspectives to everything. There's the,
Yes.
and when we talk about hour, we often think about what is my hour worth?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're all pointing us in a different direction. Like with those clients, you may have been charging $25 an hour because that's how you valued your time.
Right.
But what were the impacts and outcomes and results your clients were seeing?
Much greater. Much greater. So,
What sort of things, without breaching confidentiality,
sure.
they're seeing
Sure.
so that the audience can go, oh yeah, I would pay for that.
For that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, things like starting the business, like having this desire, having this burning desire to start a business to be able to serve others, right? And then getting the coaching that you need to help build the confidence to step into that and understand that you do have value to bring, and
Mm.
then stepping into that.
So for they're an employee, they had a traditional type job, and they're like, I want to do something on myself. And
Yes.
what what would you pay to be able to be feeling trapped in a role to be able to step confidently into creating your business?
Their own business. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And people will pay for that because that's what they want. They want the freedom, which, I kind of say it's weird because we all say, oh, I started my business because I want to own my own time and all, and then we end up spending way more time in our own business. But that's another subject. But paying for that freedom, paying for and more than the freedom, but paying for the ability to be able to step into a role where you really feel like you're serving and you're making an impact,
Mm.
I would
not only in
define
your life, but in others.
I would define it even from my side, it's more on the business side. It's you just basically paying for a result. That's the
Yeah,
result I want. So if you're the right person, and I think you could be the right person to get me to the result or the solution that I want, and that's the price, and I value that value that I'm going to get is mm, is is higher than the price that I need to pay you to get there.
get there.
I'm going to
Yeah,
pay for it because, and there I
absolutely.
think it's really important your alignment and the confidence to be showing to people, yes, I know this, and not to have that imposter syndrome saying, well,
Right, right. Yeah, yeah.
So I think that that is just purely more looking at on the business side. That's the
Mhm.
result.
That
Is
you
that the
get.
result higher than the price I'm willing to go for it? And I trust you.
Absolutely. That good point. Good point.
Love
Yeah.
it. To
And
me, I think
having someone at your side. I
Yeah.
mean that, for me, that's what coaching is like having someone there to support you, hold you accountable, and push you, right? All those things. And sometimes when we have that person there, we are able to step into bolder actions as opposed to if we are just doing it on our own.
absolutely. Yeah, I love that so much. So this we could explore this further. I think it's a really great topic. I think it's very pressing. But along your journey, like what are some of the things that have inspired you, either for what's next or just to continue? Because it's life of an entrepreneur. We get into coaching because we want to help, and then we become accidental entrepreneurs, and we go, "Oh, look, I've got this business thing I need to kind of take care of." Um,
Absolutely.
and so, in the space of books and things like that, what are some resources that come to mind that you'd love to point other people's attention to?
Well, one of my favorite, not one of my favorite, all-time favorite book is The Four Agreements. It was so in alignment with how I want to live, how I want to be, how I want to show up. And I learned a lot from that. I use a lot of that to teach and to help others to really get over some of the things that keep them stuck, right?
Love
Uh, and for me, it's what lights me up is when I see the transformation. When I see the light bulb come on, like, oh, I didn't think that I could do it that way, or I have never thought about it that way, right? I have a total different perspective around something that has been causing me angst or keeping me stuck. When I see my clients go through that, that's what lights me up.
Absolutely. Is there a favorite insight or anything from that amazing book, Four Agreements? Paulo Coelho, I think.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah. I think just learning to accept people for who they are, that's what I took from it. Accept people for who they are. Um, don't have expectations of what others should do in order to put you in a different position or in a different state, right? That was like life-changing for me because oftentimes we get hung up on expecting others to either act or do or be in a certain way before we feel like we can be who we really want to be. And
Yeah,
that was one of the
conditional
things.
expression. I love that. Actually, I love that book as well. For me, my insight was around always be your best,
Yes,
but your
yes,
best doesn't need to always be the same.
exactly.
Be
Oh, I
the
love that.
best of whatever you've got in this
Whatever you,
moment. It's not the same as yesterday or tomorrow. It's whatever's here.
yes.
Be the best that you've got and let go of that comparison.
Yeah, I see that a lot with, with working with women sometimes is we get stuck in the decisions that we make and we start to beat ourselves up because, oh, the decision didn't go quite so well, right? But what I've learned and what really has always helped me is to acknowledge that whatever decision you made in that moment was the best decision for that moment. And certainly it was the decision that you made with the knowledge that you had in that moment. You
Mhm.
couldn't do it any other way, right? And
Cool.
so helping them to see that and move past it and not continue to beat themselves up or, chastise themselves for things and decisions that they made that didn't go well.
And
Super.
talking about resources, we're here at the Coaching Tools Company. What tools do you really like and use in your coaching?
My favorite is, of course, the wheel of life. Of
What
Like so
course.
many.
what do you love about it?
Yeah.
I love that it really shows where we have that wobble going on in our lives, right? Because often we don't know that. We think, things are going pretty good, or we think things aren't going so well, but I don't know why.
I love that
I don't
reframe, by
know
the way.
what's happening,
Yeah.
right?
For those that are watching, there was a little transition from I think everything's going well to I think everything's not going so bad. Like rewind and have a look at that. It was a subtle but a powerful reframe.
Yes, yes, yes. So I love that because it helps me to show my clients like this is the area where you may be challenged or some things may be happening that are undesirable, right? And often when you show people that and they can see it, then it's almost like if you can name it, then you can certainly work to correct it or help it to improve.
Absolutely. Wheel of life. Love it.
I love your mind. I see you thinking.
Yeah. I've yeah, we've got there's a giveaway coming up that we want to be part of around gratitude. And so the Wheel of Life was a foundation for what I was building around journaling using the Wheel of Life and gratitude.
Oh, that's
It was just
nice.
as a coach, it's like it's really exciting to coach around, but as a journaling tool where people can connect deeper with themselves,
Absolutely.
uh it's also
Which
a
I
lot of
use a lot.
fun to start to explore differently.
I use journaling a lot. I really do because I think we have honest conversations with ourselves, whether we believe it or not. We do. And some of them are negative, but you still have to dig a little deeper to see what those conversations are. What is it telling you? What are you feeling? And so I use journaling a lot with my clients to help them really get in touch on a deeper level with what's going on in your mind, in your heart, in your soul. What is it that you're feeling? What are you hearing?
Mhm.
Because most times we don't stop to think about that, right? We're on autopilot. We're just going through the motions. We're just doing the same task every day in our business. We're doing the same way of promoting, the way of, talking to other people, but we're not taking the time to just stop and realize, well, what am I really getting from this? What message is coming from this for me to be able to help people on a different level or even deeper, right? I'm real big on journaling and meditation.
I love it. And what tips do you give to your clients to help them you s- give themselves permission to step into journaling?
To just free write. Don't worry about, how it has to be or how it should be or what you've heard it should be, or just throw all of that out the window and just sit down and write as though you are writing. I like to write to my younger self.
Okay.
So just sit and write as though you're writing to a younger you, not the child you, because that's different issues. But let's take it, a little bit further. Maybe the 30-year-old or 20-year-old, right? And just write to that person. What do you want her to know? What is that you want her to know about what you're feeling in this moment, right? And make it as personal as possible. Don't put a lot of rules and parameters around it. Just write. Just
But
write.
is it important to write, or can you also speak? Because
You can also speak. You can do it any way you want. Again, don't put rules around it.
no,
So
no, I'm just asking.
right, if
Have
it's
we writing
better,
writing
Don't
at
put
the
rules
same?
around it.
don't put those rules. So if you're the type that is, because sometimes I just record my voice and I talk it out, right? So any way that works for you. One of the things that I pair with that, not just journaling, is that you should, not you have to, but you should sit. I have to watch that. You should take some time to actually just sit in the moment as well. Because if you just like go in for the writing part, then I think you're missing the other side of it, which is the receiving part,
Mhm.
right? And when we sit in silence, I believe for me is when I receive. So I can receive what I'm feeling in this moment, right? And this is deep, but I can receive it from my inner soul, right? From my inner being. Like this is what you're feeling, and this may be why you're feeling it. Sometimes if we try to always come from our head knowledge and writing it, we may miss what's really underneath all of that.
Yeah, I guess it's a really good point. I think it's a conversation.
Yes,
Journaling is a great tool to have a conversation with self,
yes.
and not the self that you know, but the self that you don't know that you know.
Don't know that
To
you
use
know. Yes.
the language that we used before. I mean, we've got some really great tools just to be able to. Step one, often just writing allows us to put down the stuff that's going on. And I think there's a real gift in that, giving ourselves permission to just to put everything down and just to, without filtering, write it all down.
Right. Get it out.
Then there's an opportunity to both speak or write or articulate, to express,
Yes.
to listen to our own expression. I feel that that's a powerful way that we as coaches bring to our clients, that not only are they expressing, that they're being heard as they express, with attention, with presence, and of course we can reflect that back. And then there's the listening component of one of my favorites is free writing, and I've done some activities where you can write on one side of the page with one hand, on the other side of the page with the other, and it can be really intriguing as to what emerges, because of course different side of the body, different part of the brain, and all of it's real, all of it's going on, all of it's made up, of course, because that's how life works. But it gives a different perspective of what's happening. It allows us to hear, see, and experience things differently.
Yeah.
And to add to that, your permission to slow down.
Oh, yes. We
What
all
was
need.
what was the breath and the eyes? Like something happened that said slow down.
Because we're all like running sometimes at 100 miles an hour and not taking the time to just slow down. One of the things that I help my clients do as well is recognizing our accomplishments, because as entrepreneurs, that's something that we tend to skim over it. We go from one thing to the next, right? Well, I've done that, I've accomplished it, great, and then I'm off to the next thing, and I don't spend a lot of time really reflecting on what you've accomplished, how you accomplished it, who you had to be in order to accomplish it, right? What changed about who you are and how you show up in order for you to accomplish those things. So that's a part of the slowing down, especially working with, high achieving women. There's not a lot of slowing down, not a lot of slowing down.
And I
There's
think I
often a lot
think
of
that
fear of slowing down.
coaching for many well listened to, coaches is basically when you're doing a coaching session, that is the moment to slow down. That is maybe for some also to do that journaling, writing, speaking, to be able to get some feedback by someone who can say, I hear this. What does that
Yes.
mean? That
Yes.
allows them to say, because some people are like sitting down and writing, they cannot disconnect. And they need someone to be able to get that interaction and allow them and help them to slow down.
Absolutely. That's where coaches come in, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
I love it. Well, this is a conversation that I've really enjoyed and look forward to others as we go forward. But for those that are watching that are in the similar spot to me and would love to connect with you further, how can people find you?
So you can find me at Valerie Priester on all social media platforms. My website's valeriepriester.com, Instagram, Valerie Priester, everywhere.
I love it. Well, thanks for creating some time to connect with us, to allow us to spotlight you. As we said before, one of the things that I love about Meet the Coach is that we come into coaching and we think we know what it is, but it's so much more.
It
And
is so.
and getting to know and see how people bring this amazing skill set of coaching into the world, what it looks like, the impact that we can create, and how we can build a business around it. So thank you for sharing how it works for you and what's going on. We really appreciate it.
Well,
Thank you
thank you
very
so
much.
much for having me. Honored to be here.
Thank you very much, Valerie, and everybody else. Until the next Meet the Coach. Thank you. Bye.